The call came during my lunch break, Ryan's voice cracking with an urgency I'd never heard before. "Get out of the house now, Tessa. Don't pack, don't ask questions. Just go to your parents' place and wait for me there." I gripped my phone tighter, my sandwich forgotten on my desk. "Ryan, what's going on? Please just trust me on this. I'll explain everything later." The line went dead. My hands trembled as I gathered my purse. The marketing proposal I'd spent weeks perfecting lay abandoned on my computer screen. 3 months of marriage, and already my world was tilting on its axis. Taking off early? Sarah from accounting peered over her cubicle wall. Family emergency. The words tasted bitter. I'd used the same excuse last week when Margaret, my mother-in-law, had orchestrated another of her impromptu family dinners, the ones where she'd parade Clara around like some sort of trophy daughter-in-law that never was. The drive home was a blur of red lights and horn blasts. My mind raced through possibilities, each worse than the last. Had something happened to Frank? Was Margaret finally making her move to destroy our marriage? Or was it Clara, with her perfectly timed appearances and lingering touches on Ryan's arm? I pulled into our driveway, half expecting to find the house in flames. Instead, everything looked exactly as I'd left it this morning. The newspaper still on the porch, my gardening gloves draped over the railing. The normalcy felt wrong, somehow more threatening than any visible danger. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara. "Heard about Ryan's call. Just checking if you're okay. We're all worried." We. That single word sent ice through my veins. How did she know about the call? And who exactly was we? I deleted the message without responding and dialed Ryan again. Straight to voicemail. Inside the house, everything seemed undisturbed, but the air felt heavy with secrets. I grabbed my laptop and a few essential documents from our home office. Whatever was happening, I wasn't walking into it blind. Another text buzzed through, Margaret this time. "Dear, perhaps we should talk before you do anything rash. Family matters are best handled within the family." I laughed, a harsh sound in the empty house. Family. Right. Because she treated me like family from day one, hadn't she? With her subtle digs about my career, her constant reminiscing about Ryan and Clara's childhood together, her pointed comments about traditional values. The front door creaked. I froze, clutching my laptop to my chest. "Tessa." Clara's voice floated through the hallway. "Your car's outside. I know you're home." I slipped into the kitchen, my heart hammering. Through the window, I could see Paul's car idling in the street, Clara's brother waiting behind the wheel. "We're just trying to help," Clara called out, her footsteps moving closer. "Margaret's worried sick about Ryan. He's not been himself lately, has he? Ever since the wedding." I eased open the back door, thankful I'd had it oiled last week. Clara's voice continued, honey sweet and reasonable, as I crept along the side of the house. My phone vibrated again. "Ryan? Don't let them find you." "Almost there. 10 minutes. I ran. Past the garden where Margaret had criticized my choice of flowers. Past the fence Ryan and I had painted together on our first weekend as homeowners. Past all the dreams I'd had of belonging to this family. As I pulled out of the neighborhood, I caught a glimpse of Clara in my rearview mirror, standing in our driveway with her phone pressed to her ear. She wasn't smiling anymore. I drove to my parents' house with my hands clenched on the steering wheel, my wedding ring catching the afternoon sun. Whatever game they were playing, whatever trap they'd set, they'd chosen the wrong woman to underestimate. I sat at my parents' kitchen table, staring at the family photos lining their walls. Happy faces, genuine smiles. Nothing like the brittle pleasantries at the Morgan family dinners. The memory of last week's disaster surfaced, sharp as broken glass. "More wine, Tessa dear?" Margaret had held the bottle over my glass, not waiting for an answer. "Clara, you remember how Ryan used to hate red wine, until you introduced him to that lovely Bordeaux on your trip to France?" Clara's laugh had tinkled like wind chimes. "Oh, that was ages ago. Before university, wasn't it, Ryan?" I'd watched my husband's face tighten. "I don't remember that trip." "Of course you do," Margaret had insisted. "It was right after that summer you two dated." The silence that followed had been deafening. Ryan had never mentioned dating Clara. Not once in our 2 years together. Now, sitting in my childhood home, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old social media posts. There they were, Ryan and Clara, tagged in countless photos over the years. Family vacations, holiday celebrations, casual dinners. In every image, Clara stood just a little too close, her hand always finding its way to Ryan's arm or shoulder. The doorbell rang, startling me from my investigation. Through the peephole, I saw Frank Morgan shifting nervously on the porch. "Tessa." His voice was barely above a whisper. "Can we talk?" I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "Does Margaret know you're here?" He shook his head, looking older than his 62 years. "She thinks I'm at the hardware store. May I come in?" In the kitchen, Frank's hands trembled as he accepted a cup of coffee. I should have said something sooner. About Clara, about all of it. "Why now?" "Because I heard them planning." He stared into his cup. "Margaret and Clara, they were in the garden yesterday, talking about your honeymoon next month." My stomach clenched. "What about it?" "Clara's brother Paul. He's been following you, taking pictures. They're going to send them to Ryan, edited to make it look like." He trailed off, unable to finish. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. "That's why Ryan called me today? Because of their photos?" Frank nodded. "He found them on his computer this morning. Clara must have uploaded them when she was over for dinner." "She's not well, Tessa. Her obsession with Ryan. It's gotten worse since the wedding. And Margaret encourages it. Margaret sees what she wants to see. She's always viewed Clara as the daughter she never had." He met my eyes. The daughter she could control. My phone buzzed, another text from Clara. "Just talk to Ryan. He's worried about your mental state. We all are. Let's meet and sort this out." I showed Frank the message. His face crumpled. "They'll try to isolate you, make you look unstable. It's what they did to Ryan's last girlfriend before you. Margaret convinced everyone the poor girl was mentally ill, spreading rumors about the family. What happened to her? She moved away. Changed her name, I think." Frank stood, his coffee untouched. "I should go. But Tessa, be careful. Margaret's been playing these games for 40 years. She's very good at them." After he left, I sat alone in the growing darkness, pieces clicking into place. The constant surveillance, the orchestrated run-ins with Clara, the subtle undermining of my confidence. They'd been laying groundwork for months. My phone lit up with Ryan's message. "On my way. Don't trust anything they say. I have proof." I walked to my old bedroom, where a photo album from my wedding day sat on the bookshelf. Flipping through it, I found what I was looking for. A candid shot of Clara watching Ryan during our first dance. Her expression wasn't one of friendly affection or even jealousy. It was hunger. The front door opened downstairs. Footsteps on the stairs, too heavy to be my parents. "Tessa." Ryan's voice. "Are you up here?" I closed the album, my decision made. They wanted to play games? Fine. But they'd forgotten something crucial. In marketing, my entire career was built on understanding human nature and manipulating perceptions. Time to show them how it's really done. Ryan spread the doctored photos across my parents' dining room table. Each one told a carefully crafted lie. Me embracing Paul in shadowy doorways, slipping into hotel lobbies, sharing intimate conversations in cafes. The timestamps matched days I'd been working late at the office. "Clara's brother has been following you for weeks," Ryan said, his voice tight. "They planted these on my work computer this morning, along with emails they'd fabricated between you and Paul." I picked up one photo, studying how they'd manipulated the lighting to make an innocent business lunch look like a clandestine meeting. "Your mother's fingerprints are all over this. She slipped up." Ryan pulled out his phone, playing a voice recording. Margaret's voice filled the room. "Once Ryan sees these, he'll have to admit Tessa isn't who he thinks she is. Clara will be there to help him through it, just like before." My fingers clenched around the photo. Before. Ryan's face darkened. "Remember what Dad said about my last girlfriend? There's more. Clara created a similar setup with doctored photos back then. But this time," he hesitated. "This time she made a mistake. Left metadata on the original photos showing when they were actually taken." A text lit up my phone, Clara again. "Ryan's not thinking clearly. Let me help fix this. I care about both of you. She's getting desperate," I said, showing Ryan the message. "There's something else." He pulled out a USB drive. Dad found this in Mom's study. It's everything, years of manipulation. Photos she edited, emails she faked, even a journal where she planned how to break up my relationships. She's been grooming Clara as my backup plan since high school. The front door opened downstairs. My parents' voices drifted up, followed by another Frank's. "They're here," Frank called up. "Margaret and Clara." They followed me. Ryan moved to the window. "Paul's car is blocking the driveway." I gathered the photos, my marketing brain already spinning possibilities. "Let them come up. I want to hear how they explain these timestamps." "Tessa." Ryan touched my arm. "They're dangerous when cornered." "So am I." Footsteps on the stairs. Clara appeared first, all concerned smiles and gentle hands. "Oh, thank goodness you're both here. We've been so worried." Margaret followed, her face a mask of maternal concern. "Ryan, darling, step away from her. You don't know what she's capable of." I held up one of the doctored photos. "Interesting choice of editing software, Clara. Adobe's timestamp feature is quite revealing." Color drained from Clara's face. Margaret stepped forward, reaching for the photo. "You're confused, dear. Those pictures show Paul following me for weeks?" I pulled out my phone, clicking play on a recording app. "Or show how you and Clara plan to plant them on Ryan's computer. Because I have to say, discussing criminal conspiracy in your garden wasn't very smart." "You recorded us?" Clara's voice shook. "No." Frank stepped into the doorway. "I did." Margaret whirled on her husband. "You wouldn't dare." "I already have." Frank's voice was steady. "I sent copies to everyone, family, friends, Clara's fiancé. Even that private investigator you hired last year to follow Tessa. Turns out he has quite a conscience when he learns he's been manipulated into participating in stalking." Clara lunged for the photos, but Ryan blocked her path. "It's over, Clara. All of it." "You don't understand," Clara whispered. "We were meant to be together. Your mother promised." "My mother promised a lot of things," Ryan cut in. "To a lot of people. But she doesn't control me anymore. And neither do you." I watched Clara's facade crack, years of obsession and manipulation showing through. She turned to Margaret, desperate. Tell him about the plan, about how we were going to fix everything." But Margaret was staring at Frank, 30 years of control slipping through her fingers. "You weak, pathetic man. After everything I've done for this family." "That's exactly why I did it," Frank said quietly. "For our family. Our real family." I stepped forward, my voice steady. "You have two choices. Leave now and never contact us again, or we take everything, the photos, the recordings, the evidence of stalking, to the police." Clara's face contorted. "You wouldn't." I met her gaze, letting her see the truth. "Try me." The silence stretched, heavy with decades of manipulation and lies. Then Margaret turned, her shoulders stiff with fury, and walked out. Clara remained, staring at Ryan with naked longing. "Clara," I said softly, "don't make me prove how far I'll go to protect what's mine." She fled, her sobs echoing down the stairs. But I felt no victory, only a cold certainty that this was just the beginning. The email arrived at midnight. A single photo attachment from an anonymous account. My hand shook as I opened it. Margaret and Clara outside a psychiatric facility, dated 3 years ago. The caption read, "Ask Ryan about Jessica." I stared at my sleeping husband on my parents' guest bed. His face troubled even in rest. Jessica. The name scratched at something in my memory. A whispered conversation at our wedding reception, quickly silenced when I'd approached. My phone buzzed. "Frank. Need to meet. Alone. The diner on 5th. Now." Ryan stirred. "Everything okay?" "Just work." I lied, the words bitter on my tongue. "Go back to sleep." The diner was empty except for Frank, hunched over a coffee cup. When I slid into the booth, he pushed a manila envelope across the table. "Jessica Martinez," he said. Ryan's fiancée before Clara orchestrated her breakdown. Inside the envelope, newspaper clippings told the story. Jessica Martinez, promising young attorney, committed after a public breakdown. Released 6 months later, she disappeared completely. Clara didn't just want to break them up, Frank continued. She wanted to destroy Jessica. And Margaret helped. How? The same way they're trying with you. Small things at first, moving items in Jessica's house, sending emails from fake accounts, arranging coincidental meetings that made her look unstable. He paused. Ryan never knew the full truth. He thought Jessica's breakdown was real. My coffee grew cold as Frank detailed their methodology. The gaslighting, the carefully planted evidence, the slow isolation from friends and family. Why tell me this now? Because they're escalating faster with you. They learned from their mistakes with Jessica. Frank's hands trembled. Margaret's already contacted your firm's HR department. Anonymous concerns about your mental health. The diner's fluorescent lights suddenly felt too bright. Ryan would never believe. Ryan believed it about Jessica. Frank's eyes were haunted. He trusted his mother's concern then. And Clara. She's perfected her role as the supportive friend. My phone lit up with a text from Clara. Ryan's worried about you sneaking out at night. Let me help before things get worse. They're watching the house, I realized. Frank nodded. Paul's car. 2 blocks down. I scrolled through my photos, finding the one from my wedding. Clara watching Ryan during our first dance. The hunger in her eyes matched the woman who'd stood outside that psychiatric facility. There's something else, Frank said. Jessica didn't just disappear. The diner's door chimed. Clara walked in, her concerned smile perfectly practiced. Oh, thank goodness, she gushed. Ryan's been frantic. He woke up and you were gone. She reached for my arm. I jerked away. Don't touch me. Sweetie, you're not well. We can all see it. Her voice dripped sympathy. The paranoia, the late-night wanderings, the accusations. Just like poor Jessica. Clara. Frank's voice held a warning. She ignored him. Ryan's waiting outside. Let's get you home, get you help. Before you hurt yourself. Through the diner's windows, I saw Ryan's car pulling up. Margaret in the passenger seat. The trap was closing. I stood, my chair scraping loudly. You know what happened to Jessica, don't you? Clara's mask slipped for just a moment. Jessica was sick. She needed help. No. The revelation hit like lightning. She figured it out. That's why she disappeared. She wasn't running from a breakdown. She was running from you. Tessa. Ryan's voice from the doorway. Mom told me about the HR complaints. About your behavior. I met his eyes, seeing the doubt there. The same doubt that had probably clouded his judgment with Jessica. But I wasn't Jessica. Tell him, Clara, I said softly. Tell him about the facility. About the photos. Clara's composure cracked. Ryan, she's confused. The timestamps don't lie. I pulled out my phone, showing the anonymous email. Neither do psychiatric facility visitor logs. Should we call them? See who visited Jessica before her breakdown? The diner fell silent. In that moment, I saw my choices clearly. Run like Jessica or stand and fight. And I'd never been good at running. Ryan, I said, not breaking eye contact with Clara. I think it's time you heard the whole story about your ex-fiancé. The package arrived 3 days after the diner confrontation. No return address, just my name in careful handwriting. Inside, a USB drive and a note. You're not the first. You won't be the last. J. My hands trembled as I plugged it into my laptop. Video files, dozens of them, showing Clara and Margaret's methodical destruction of Jessica Martinez. Security footage, phone recordings, emails, a digital breadcrumb trail of calculated madness. I found Jessica. Ryan's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway of our temporary bedroom at my parents' house, his face ashen. She's in Seattle, working under her mother's maiden name. Did you talk to her? She agreed to video call. Tonight. He sat heavily on the bed. She said Clara visited her in the facility, told her if she ever came back, there'd be worse consequences than a psychiatric hold. My phone buzzed. Clara's fiancé, James. Can we meet? Something's not right with Clara. I showed Ryan the message. It's probably a trap. Or an opportunity. Ryan's jaw tightened. James needs to know what he's getting into. The cafe was crowded enough to feel safe. James sat alone, turning his coffee cup nervously. When he saw us, his face crumpled. Clara's pregnant, he blurted out. At least, that's what she told Margaret. But when I called her doctor, Let me guess, I said. No record of pregnancy. He nodded. And I found these. He slid his phone across the table. Photos of Clara outside our house watching through windows. Dozens of them spanning months. She doesn't know I saw them. My phone lit up, Frank. Margaret's gone. Cleared out her accounts this morning. They're making their move, Ryan muttered. James leaned forward. There's more. Clara's been meeting someone at the psychiatric facility where Jessica stayed. A doctor. They're building a case. The cafe door chimed. Clara walked in, her face a perfect mask of concern. Behind her, Paul blocked the exit. James, darling. Her voice dripped honey. I've been so worried. When Mother Morgan said you were meeting them. She placed a protective hand over her non-existent pregnancy. Stop lying, Clara. James stood. I know about the photos. About Jessica. Clara's mask slipped, just for a moment. They've poisoned you against me. Just like they're trying to poison everyone. She turned to the other customers. My fiancé's sister is mentally ill. We're just trying to get her help. People started staring. Phones came out. Recording this? I stood slowly. Good. Because Clara Bennett and Margaret Morgan are about to be famous for all the wrong reasons. You don't want to do this, Paul warned, moving closer. Actually, I do. I opened my laptop, turning it to face the growing crowd. Jessica Martinez sent me something interesting. Want to see how they drove her to a breakdown? Or should we start with the fake pregnancy records Clara's been creating? Clara lunged for the laptop. You stupid bitch. There it is. Ryan's voice cut through the chaos. He held up his phone, recording. The real Clara Bennett. She froze, realizing her mistake. The cafe had gone silent. Dozens of phones capturing her transformation from concerned friend to snarling aggressor. Where's my mother? Ryan asked quietly. Clara's laugh was brittle. Somewhere you'll never find her. She's making sure everything's ready. For when Tessa has her inevitable breakdown. You mean like this? I pressed play on Jessica's video. Clara's voice filled the cafe. Just sign the commitment papers, Jessica. Admit you're unstable, and this all goes away. James backed away from Clara, horror dawning on his face. What have you done? What I had to do. Clara's composure cracked completely. He was supposed to be mine. Margaret promised. After Jessica, after every other girl she helped me eliminate. She turned to Ryan, desperate. We were meant to be together. Your mother understood that. No, Ryan said softly. My mother used you. Just like she used everyone else. My phone buzzed one final time, an email from Jessica. Sending this to every news outlet now. Good luck. Clara saw the headline appear on my screen. Systematic gaslighting ring exposed. Prominent family's mental health manipulation scheme. In that moment, watching Clara's world implode, I felt no satisfaction. Only a bone-deep weariness and a single burning question. Where was Margaret, and what final trap had she set? The answer came sooner than expected, as police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. The police didn't come for Clara. They came for me. Tessa Morgan, the officer read from his tablet. You're wanted for questioning regarding allegations of stalking, harassment, and cyber threats against Clara Bennett and Margaret Morgan. The cafe had gone silent. Phones still recorded, but now they were pointed at me. Clara's mask of victimhood slipped perfectly back into place, tears streaming down her face. See, she whispered. This is exactly what we were afraid of. Ryan stepped forward. This is ridiculous. We have proof. Of elaborate forgeries, Paul interrupted, holding up a folder. Created by your wife to harass my sister. The metadata proves it. My laptop. The USB drive. Everything Jessica sent. They'd somehow corrupted it all, twisted it back against me. I watched the officer scroll through what looked like my emails, my photos, all doctored to show an obsession with destroying Clara's life. Check the timestamps. I started, but Clara cut in. Just like with Jessica, she sobbed. She's trying to recreate what happened, but making me the villain this time. The doctors warned us this might happen. My phone buzzed one last time before the officer confiscated it. Frank? Margaret's at your office. She's speaking to HR now. The pieces clicked together. While we'd been focused on Clara's breakdown, Margaret had been methodically destroying my credibility, my career, my life. Ryan. I turned to my husband, seeing doubt flicker across his face. Don't let them do this. He reached for me, but the officer stepped between us. Sir, given the nature of the allegations, you should maintain distance until. He's my husband. And my son. Margaret's voice cut through the chaos. She stood in the cafe doorway, elegant and composed. Who were trying to protect from your escalating behavior. The room spun. Everything we'd gathered, every piece of evidence, they'd planned for it all, turned it against us. Made me look exactly like Jessica. Obsessed, unstable, dangerous. The psychiatric hold is temporary, the officer said quietly. Just until. No. Ryan's voice cracked. Mom, stop this. Margaret touched his arm. Sweetheart, we tried to handle this privately. But after what happened at the office today. What happened at the office? My voice sounded distant, strange. Security footage of you threatening Clara this morning, Paul supplied smoothly. Very convincing performance. But I hadn't been near the office. I'd been. The realization hit like ice water. They'd planned this months ago. Built their case while we thought we were building ours. Show them, I whispered to Ryan. Jessica's video call tonight. Already handled, Margaret said softly. The real Jessica Martinez called earlier, very disturbed by your attempts to impersonate her. She's willing to testify about your obsession with her story. Clara stepped closer, her voice gentle. Let them help you, Tessa. Like they helped me understand my feelings about Ryan weren't healthy. The ultimate twist, making Clara the reformed obsessive and me the new threat. I looked at James, still clutching his phone. The photos weren't taken by Clara, Paul finished. The metadata shows they came from your phone. Stalking her, building your case. Very thorough. The officer took my arm. Through the cafe window, I saw the news vans arriving. Margaret had orchestrated every detail, down to the public breakdown they'd predicted I'd have. Ryan, I tried one last time, but Clara was already beside him, playing the supportive friend. We'll take care of him, Margaret promised, while you get the help you need. As they led me out, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the cafe window. Wild-eyed, disheveled, exactly how they wanted me to look. How they planned for me to look. The news cameras rolled as I was guided into the police car. Through the window, I watched Clara comfort Ryan. Margaret standing protectively nearby. The perfect family tableau, with me cast as the unstable outsider who tried to destroy their happiness. Don't worry, the officer said kindly. The facility has an excellent reputation. The same facility where Jessica had been held. Where Clara had threatened her. Where they'd perfected their technique. The car door closed, sealing me in silence. In the rearview mirror, I saw Margaret smile. The facility's visitor room smelled of artificial lavender and despair. 3 days of observation had taught me their routines, their blind spots. Now I waited, watching Margaret and Clara arrange themselves across the table. Their faces masks of rehearsed concern. The doctors say you're not cooperating, Margaret began. I smiled, the same empty smile Clara had perfected. How's Ryan? Worried sick, Clara answered quickly. He wanted to come, but you couldn't risk him seeing the real Jessica Martinez, could you? Their mask slipped just slightly. Margaret recovered first. The delusions are getting worse. Dr. Andrews warned us. Dr. Andrews. I placed a USB drive on the table. The same one who helped you forge Jessica's commitment papers? He's been very cooperative since the FBI started investigating medical fraud. Clara's hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. You're lying. Am I? I turned to the observation window. Frank. The door opened. Frank walked in, followed by Ryan and a woman I recognized from Jessica's photos. The real Jessica Martinez. Hello, Clara, Jessica said softly. It's been 3 years. Margaret stood so quickly her chair toppled. This is inappropriate. My daughter-in-law is having an episode. Your daughter-in-law, Ryan cut in, has been working with federal investigators for the past 72 hours. Every conversation in this facility is recorded, including your little chat with Dr. Andrews yesterday. Clara lunged for the door, but Frank blocked her path. Paul confessed everything, he said. About the faked photos, the forged emails. He took a plea deal this morning. You don't understand, Clara whispered, turning to Ryan. Everything I did was for us. Margaret promised. Margaret promised a lot of things, Jessica interrupted. To a lot of women. How many were there before me, Margaret? How many lives did you and Clara destroy to keep Ryan under your control? I stood, finally letting my mask fall. The thing about marketing? We understand patterns. Narratives. Once Jessica reached out, it wasn't hard to find the others. 6 women. 6 mental breakdowns. 6 lives destroyed. You planned this, Margaret hissed. Used your own commitment to trap us. I learned from the best. I moved closer, watching her facade crack. But unlike you, I had something you never expected. Actual proof. Actual witnesses. And a husband who chose me. Clara screamed, a raw sound of desperation, and threw herself at Ryan. She's lying. Just like the others. I'm the only one who truly loves you. The orderlies rushed in, but it was Jessica who spoke, her voice cutting through Clara's hysteria. That's exactly what you said before you visited me here. Before you told me what would happen if I ever came back. Ryan stepped away from Clara's grasping hands. It's over, Clara. The FBI has everything. The fake documents, the surveillance footage, Dr. Andrews' confession. Even Mom's offshore accounts where she paid everyone off. Margaret's composure finally shattered. You ungrateful. She lunged at me, but the orderlies were faster. I watched them restrain both women, their carefully constructed world crumbling around them. You know what your biggest mistake was? I asked softly, assuming I'd play by your rules. That I'd break like the others. You'll regret this, Margaret spat as they led her away. You have no idea what I'm still capable of. Actually, Frank interrupted, we do. That's why I gave the FBI access to all your private accounts this morning, including the ones in the Caymans. Clara's sobs echoed down the hallway. Ryan took my hand as Jessica spoke with the federal agents. I'm sorry, he whispered, for doubting even for a moment. I squeezed his hand, watching Margaret and Clara being led away in handcuffs instead of me. You came through when it mattered. Frank touched my shoulder. The others are here. The women Margaret and Clara targeted. They're ready to testify. I nodded, feeling the weight of the past weeks finally lifting. We'd won, but the victory felt hollow somehow. Looking at Clara's broken form and Margaret's hatred, I realized revenge wasn't what I'd really wanted. Justice was. And as I walked out of the facility a free woman, I knew we'd found something better than revenge. We'd found truth. And sometimes that's the greatest victory of all. The courtroom emptied slowly after Margaret's sentencing. 20 years for conspiracy, fraud, and false imprisonment. Clara had taken a plea deal, trading testimony for a lighter sentence. Paul would serve 5 years for his role. Justice served cold and clean. I lingered in my seat, staring at the judge's empty bench, until Ryan touched my shoulder. Ready? Almost. I pulled out an old photograph I'd found while packing up his childhood home. Margaret, much younger, stood beside another woman who shared her calculating smile. The back read, Margaret and Helen, sisters in arms. Dad confirmed it this morning, I said. Your Aunt Helen did the same thing to him that Margaret tried to do to you. Isolated him, controlled his relationships. It wasn't just about keeping you. It was about recreating her sister's perfect family fantasy. Ryan studied the photo. Helen died in a psychiatric facility. Dad always said she had problems, but now we know what really happened. I handed him another photo. Helen with a young Margaret, teaching her the art of manipulation. The pattern started long before us. Frank waited by the courthouse steps with Jessica and the other survivors. 6 women whose lives Margaret and Clara had nearly destroyed. Now they stood tall, unbroken. The support group meets next week, Jessica said. We're calling it Phoenix Rising. She smiled. From the ashes, you know? I watched them share knowing looks, these women who'd faced the same darkness I had. Their strength wasn't in revenge or even justice. It was in refusing to let the experience define them. The house is almost packed up, Frank said. Found this in Margaret's study. He handed me a leather-bound journal. Might help explain some things. Or not. Sometimes understanding the monster doesn't make it less monstrous. Inside, Margaret's elegant handwriting detailed decades of manipulation, not just of Ryan but of everyone around her. The last entry, dated the day before her arrest, read, "Tessa sees the game now, but she doesn't understand. It's not about winning. It's about playing forever. She thought she was teaching me." I realized. Every move, every countermove, she was grooming me to become her, just like Helen groomed her. Ryan took the journal, his face troubled. "We could burn it. End the pattern here." "No." I closed the journal firmly. "It belongs in evidence. For the next time someone like Margaret tries to play these games." We walked to our car, leaving the courthouse and its justice behind. Frank headed to his new apartment, free from Margaret's shadow. Jessica and the others dispersed, carrying their victory like shields against future darkness. At home, our real home, not the battlefield it had become, I found one last photo that Margaret had hidden. Ryan as a child, smiling genuinely, before his mother's manipulation had dimmed his light, before Clara had been positioned as his savior, before the games began. "We're having dinner with your parents tonight," Ryan said, watching me study the photo. "Mom wants to hear about the support group. My mother's cooking. My father's bad jokes. Simple things that Margaret had tried to twist into weapons. But she'd failed, because she'd never understood what real family meant." The doorbell rang, a delivery. Inside the package, a letter from Clara, forwarded by her lawyer. I started to tear it up, then stopped. Understanding the past didn't mean letting it control our future. I placed the unopened letter in a box with Margaret's journal and the old photos. Evidence of a pattern we'd broken. A legacy we'd refused to inherit. "Ready for dinner?" Ryan asked. I looked around our home at the life we were reclaiming. The shadows were still there, but they no longer held power. Margaret had wanted to teach me her game, but she'd taught me something else instead. How to end it. "Ready," I said, leaving the box of shadows behind. Sometimes victory isn't in winning the game. It's in refusing to play. And sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, on your own terms in the light.
I stand at the edge of my own wedding reception, watching my new mother-in-law tap her crystal champagne glass. The sound pierces through the murmur of conversation, and my stomach knots. Something in Vivian's eyes makes me want to grab Ryan's hand and run. "My name is Arya, and this should be the happiest day of my life." "Ladies and gentlemen," Vivian's voice carries across the garden with practiced elegance. "I'd like to propose a toast to the interesting couple before us today." She pauses, her smile sharp as a blade. When Ryan first brought Arya home, I must admit I was surprised. After all, we had such different expectations for him. The crowd shifts uncomfortably. Ryan's hand tightens around mine, but he says nothing. Always says nothing when it comes to his mother. "But here we are," Vivian continues, her gaze fixed on me. "Ryan, darling, you've always had a charitable heart, taking in strays, helping the less fortunate. Remember that mangy cat you insisted on keeping when you were 12? She laughs, and a few nervous chuckles follow. "I suppose some habits never change." My cheeks burn. The pearl necklace Ryan gave me this morning feels like it's choking me. I catch my sister Sophie's eye across the room. She's half rising from her chair, fury written across her face. "To the happy couple," Vivian raises her glass. "May Ryan's generosity continue to lift up those who weren't blessed with the advantages he's enjoyed. And Arya, dear," she turns that razor smile on me again, "do try to remember where you came from and where you are now." The silence that follows is deafening. My father, Thomas, is gripping his chair so hard his knuckles have gone white. My mother, Linda, has tears in her eyes, not the happy ones she had during the ceremony. Ryan finally speaks. "Mother, that's enough." But his voice is weak, uncertain. "Oh, darling, I'm only teasing." Vivian waves him off. Surely Arya can take a joke. After all, she'll need a thick skin to survive in our world, won't she? I feel the eyes of 200 guests burning into me. The country club members, the business associates, Ryan's extended family, all watching to see how the girl from the wrong side of town will react to being publicly gutted. Actually, I hear myself say, standing up. My voice is steady, surprising even me. I'd like to thank Vivian for that. Illuminating toast. I raise my own glass. You've made things very clear. Vivian's smile falters for just a moment. She wasn't expecting me to speak. To new beginnings, I continue. And to finally understanding exactly where I stand. I drain my champagne in one go, setting the glass down with perhaps more force than necessary. The rest of the reception passes in a blur of forced smiles and whispered conversations that stop when I walk by. Ryan keeps apologizing, but his words feel hollow. He doesn't understand that his silence during his mother's speech said more than any apology could. Later, as we're leaving for our honeymoon, I catch Vivian speaking to Derek, her business partner. It's nothing personal, she's saying, but someone had to put her in her place before she got too comfortable. I slip into the car, my wedding dress rustling against the leather seats. Ryan starts the engine, already launching into another apology about his mother's behavior. But I'm not listening. Instead, I'm thinking about the look in Vivian's eyes during that toast, that mix of contempt and satisfaction. She thinks she's won, thinks she's shown everyone exactly who I am and where I belong. But she's wrong. That toast didn't break me. It awakened something. As we drive away from the reception, I'm already planning. Vivian wanted to show everyone who I am. Fine. I'll show her exactly who I can become. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of hers. The honeymoon glow lasted exactly 3 weeks. That's when the first oversight happened. My name mysteriously missing from the guest list at the Hamilton family's annual charity gala. It must have been a clerical error, Ryan says, adjusting his bow tie in our bedroom mirror. Mother's assistant is new. I watch him from the bed, still in my bathrobe, like the clerical error that left me off the country club membership application, or the one that forgot to include me in the family portrait session. He doesn't meet my eyes in the reflection. I'll talk to her about it. Don't bother. I stand up, letting my wedding ring catch the light. We both know Vivian's assistant doesn't make mistakes. The door closes behind him with a soft click. Through the window, I watch him pull out of our driveway in his Mercedes, a wedding gift from his mother. Another reminder of where I stand in the hierarchy of Vivian's world. My phone buzzes. It's Sophie. Mom and Dad want you over for dinner tonight. At my parents' modest house, the tension is thick enough to cut. Dad's pacing the kitchen, while Mom serves her signature lasagna, comfort food for uncomfortable conversations. She's isolating you, Dad says, his fork stabbing the pasta. First the wedding toast, now this. It's a pattern, Arya. Thomas, Mom warns, but her eyes are worried. What? We're all thinking it. That woman's trying to push our daughter out of her son's life, piece by piece. I push my food around the plate. Ryan says he'll handle it. Sophie snorts, like he handled the toast or the country club thing. She leans forward. You know what Derek told me at the coffee shop yesterday? I look up. You talked to Derek? He didn't know who I was, but he was meeting someone, talking about how Vivian's planning to protect the family interests by having Ryan sign some new trust agreement, something about limiting spouse access. The lasagna turns to ash in my mouth. Dad's face darkens, but before he can speak, my phone chimes. It's a group text from Vivian to the family. Reminder, Margaret's 75th birthday dinner this Saturday. Black tie. Private room at LeBlanc. Family only. A second later, another message. Ryan, darling, please come early to help with arrangements. No mention of me. Not even a pretense this time. That's it. Sophie stands up. You need to fight back. And do what? I push my plate away. Throw a fit? Prove her right about the classless girl who married above her station. No, Sophie's eyes gleam. You need to beat her at her own game. You're smart, Arya. Smarter than she thinks. Use that. Later that night, I return home to find Ryan in his study. Papers spread across his desk. He looks up, guilty. Hey, I was just going through some family business stuff. I lean against the door frame. The new trust agreement. He freezes. How did you? Does it matter? I walk over, picking up one of the documents. Were you going to tell me before or after you signed away my access to our shared future? It's not like that, he starts, but I cut him off. Then what is it like, Ryan? Explain it to me. Explain how your mother's systematic campaign to erase me from your life is not like that. He stands, runs a hand through his hair. You don't understand the pressure she's under, the family name, the business. You're right, I say quietly. I don't understand. I don't understand how my husband can watch his mother destroy his marriage and do nothing. I turn to leave, but his voice stops me. Where are you going? To get ready for Margaret's birthday dinner. But Mother said, I know what she said. I look back at him, and I'm done listening. In our bedroom, I open my laptop and start searching. Vivian thinks she can write me out of this family story. Fine, but two can play at that game. Sophie's right. I'm smarter than Vivian thinks. And if she wants to protect family interests so badly, maybe it's time I took a closer look at exactly what those interests are, starting with why Derek's been making monthly visits to offshore banks. Margaret's birthday dinner becomes a battlefield. The moment I walk into LeBlanc, Vivian's fez freezes mid-laugh, her champagne glass suspended in the air. The private dining room falls silent. Darling, she recovers quickly. I believe there's been a misunderstanding about the guest list. I smile, channeling her own razor-sharp sweetness. No misunderstanding. I'm exactly where I should be. Margaret rises from her seat, her arthritis-twisted hands gripping her walker. Vivian, stop this nonsense. Arya is family now. Something flickers across Vivian's face. Pain, maybe fear. It's gone before I can be sure. Ryan pulls out my chair, but his hands are shaking. The tension crackling through the room makes the crystal chandelier seem ready to shatter. Actually, Margaret continues, settling back into her seat. This reminds me of another family dinner years ago, when you first brought Charles home, Vivian. Vivian's knuckles whiten around her glass. Mother, please. Your father's family treated you horribly, Margaret says, her voice carrying despite its age. Called you a gold digger, said you weren't good enough, remember? The revelation hits me like a physical blow. I look at Vivian, really look at her, and for a moment, I see something else behind the perfect makeup and designer dress, a shadow of another woman who once sat where I'm sitting. That was different, Vivian snaps. Was it? Margaret's eyes are sharp. You worked as a waitress. Charles came from old money. His mother tried everything to drive you away. Derek clears his throat uncomfortably. Perhaps this isn't the time. It's exactly the time, Margaret cuts him off. Because I watched my daughter transform herself into exactly the kind of woman who once tried to destroy her. The waiter arrives with the first course, his professional smile faltering at the tension. Nobody touches their plates. I protected this family, Vivian says quietly, dangerously. Everything I've done, every sacrifice. Like the sacrifice of sending Charles's family those photos. Margaret's words land like bombs. The ones that ruined his father's political career. Ryan's head snaps up. What photos? Ancient history. Vivian stands abruptly and completely irrelevant. But I see it now. The blueprint of her success. The foundation of her power. She didn't just marry into this world. She conquered it. Destroyed those who stood in her way. You're right, Mother. Vivian's voice has gone cold. I learned from the best. From those who tried to destroy me. And I learned well. She turns to me. So believe me when I say, you have no idea what you're dealing with. Actually, I pull out my phone, opening the offshore banking records I'd discovered. I think I do. The color drains from Derek's face. Vivian goes very still. Monthly transfers to the Cayman Islands. I continue. Strange patterns in the company's charitable donations. It's amazing what you can find when people think you're too stupid to look. You're making dangerous accusations, Derek warns. No, I correct him. I'm making observations. The accusations will come from the IRS if these records end up on their desk. Ryan stands up looking lost. What's going on, Mother? Nothing, Vivian says sharply. Your wife is trying to cause trouble, like always. Like you caused trouble for Charles's family? I press. Is that why he left? Because he discovered what you really are. The slap echoes through the room. My cheek burns where Vivian's hand connected, but I don't flinch. "Mother!" Ryan shouts, finally finding his voice. Margaret's quiet voice cuts through the chaos. "You've become everything you once hated, Vivian." Vivian grabs her purse, her perfect composure cracking. "This dinner is over. Derek, my office, first thing tomorrow." She pauses at the door, looking back at me. "You want to play this game? Fine, but remember, I've been playing it longer." After she leaves, Ryan turns to me, his face a storm of confusion and anger. "What have you done?" "What you wouldn't," I answer. I fought back. Margaret reaches across the table, her wrinkled hand covering mine. "Be careful, dear. Revenge has a way of changing people. I should know. I watched it change my daughter." I looked down at the banking records on my phone, then at the door where Vivian disappeared. The woman who crawled her way up from nothing, who destroyed her enemies, who became the very monster she once fought. Is that what I'm becoming too? The suitcase lies open on our bed, half packed with whatever I could grab in 10 minutes. Ryan stands in the doorway, his face a mask I no longer recognize. "So that's it?" His voice is flat. "You're running away?" I fold another shirt, focusing on the crisp edges. Running implies fear. I'm choosing to leave. Because of what happened at grandmother's dinner, Mother apologized. "No," I correct him. She sent a formal note through her secretary, expressing regret for any perceived impropriety. That's not an apology, that's damage control. The bedroom feels smaller than usual, like the walls are closing in. Through the window, I can see Vivian's car pulling up our driveway. Right on schedule. "She's here to explain everything," Ryan says, "about the offshore accounts, about Charles. Like she explained about the trust agreement you were going to sign?" I zip the suitcase closed. "Or about how she's been systematically pushing me out of your life." A knock downstairs. Ryan doesn't move to answer it. "You're becoming just like her," he says quietly. The words hit harder than Vivian's slap ever did. I turn to face him fully. "What?" "The investigating, the threats, the ultimatums. You're fighting her by becoming her." Before I can respond, Sophie appears in the doorway, slightly out of breath. "Don't go anywhere. You need to see this." She pulls out her phone, pulling up an email. "Remember how I said I'd look into Charles? Well, I found something. Something big." The document on her screen is old, but clear enough. A newspaper article from 25 years ago. The headline reads, "Local business owner dies in suspicious car accident." "That's Charles's father," Ryan says, moving closer. "Read the date," Sophie urges. I do, then I read it again. This was 3 days after those photos Margaret mentioned, the ones that ruined his political career. Keep reading. The article mentions brake failure, a steep road, no witnesses, and at the bottom, a quote from the grieving family's spokesperson, Vivian Hamilton. "She didn't just destroy his career," I whisper. We don't know that, Ryan interrupts. But his voice shakes. Another knock downstairs, more insistent this time. "There's more." Sophie scrolls down. "Guess who else died in a car accident with suspicious circumstances? The investigator who was looking into the campaign finance irregularities that those photos exposed." The room spins slightly. I sit on the edge of the bed, my packed suitcase forgotten. "Arya," Vivian's voice carries up the stairs. "We need to talk about this situation like adults." Ryan moves toward the door, but I grab his arm. "Don't, please." He looks down at my hand, then at the article still displayed on Sophie's phone. For the first time, I see real fear in his eyes. "What do you want me to do?" he asks. "Choose," I say simply. "For once in your life, choose." Footsteps on the stairs. Sophie positions herself between me and the door. "I can't just," Ryan starts. "Yes, you can. Because if you don't, I'm walking out that door. And unlike Charles, I'll make sure I'm not alone on any steep roads." The footsteps reach our floor. Ryan looks at the door, then back at me. In that moment, I see every choice we've ever made, every compromise, every silence. And I realize this isn't just about saving my marriage anymore. It's about survival. Ryan? Vivian's voice is closer now. Darling, is she up here with you? She. He takes a deep breath, and I watch my husband choose. No, mother, he calls out, his voice steady for the first time in weeks. She's not, and neither am I. He grabs my suitcase with one hand, my arm with the other. Sophie, is your car out back? She nods, a slow smile spreading across her face. Then let's go, he says, all of us. As we slip out the back door, I hear Vivian calling our names. But for once, she's not the one in control. For once, we're writing our own story. And this time I'm not running away. I'm running towards something much more dangerous. The truth. The motel room feels like a war room, with papers spread across every surface. Sophie types furiously on her laptop while Ryan paces, phone pressed to his ear. I'm staring at a photograph I found in Margaret's old albums, Vivian and Charles on their wedding day, looking young and in love, before everything went wrong. Derek's not answering. Ryan hangs up, but his secretary said he cleared his schedule for the next week. Emergency meetings with the board. Sophie looks up. They're moving money, fast. I've tracked 3 large transfers to different offshore accounts in the last hour. They know we know. Ike, still studying the photograph. There's something in Vivian's eyes. Even then, a hunger. My phone buzzes. A text from Margaret. Vivian's here, asking questions. Be careful. Another buzz, this time from an unknown number. Meet me at the old Hamilton factory, midnight. Come alone if you want the whole story. D. Ryan reads over my shoulder. It's a trap. Obviously, Sophie agrees. Derek's Vivian's puppet. Always has been. I set down the wedding photo. Maybe that's exactly why we should go. They both stare at me. We? Ryan asks. You and me. Sophie stays here, keeps tracking the money. If something goes wrong, I trail off, not wanting to finish the thought. If something goes wrong, I call Dad. Sophie completes it for me. He's got friends in the DA's office. They're already interested in those offshore accounts. Ryan grabs his keys. We should leave now, scout the location before. A knock at the door freezes us all. Through the thin curtains, we can see a familiar silhouette. Aria, Vivian's voice is honey sweet. Darling, I know you're in there. Let's talk about this like family. Sophie quietly closes her laptop. Ryan moves toward the bathroom window, our planned escape route. I brought something you might want to see, Vivian continues. About your father's construction company. Did you know he bid on Hamilton Properties contracts 3 years ago? Before you met Ryan? My blood runs cold. Dad never mentioned this. Such a shame about those anonymous complaints that killed the bid. Cost him nearly everything, didn't it? Would be terrible if history repeated itself. Ryan grabs my arm as I move toward the door. Don't, he whispers. But I'm already putting pieces together. The timing of Dad's near bankruptcy. The mysterious lost contracts. How convenient it was that Ryan met me just when my family was most vulnerable. 5 minutes, I say to Vivian through the door, alone. Arya, no. Sophie starts. I turn to them both. Get to the factory. I'll meet you there. And if I don't, I hand Sophie the wedding photograph. Look at her eyes. Really look. Then check the dates of every suspicious death around her. Not just Charles's father. The bathroom window slides open silently. As they slip out, I count to 10, then open the door. Vivian stands there, elegant as ever, holding a thick folder. Smart girl, she says, finally learning to negotiate. Show me. She hands over the folder. Inside, I find documents proving everything. How she orchestrated my father's financial ruin. How she positioned Ryan to meet me. How she planned it all, years ago. Why? I ask, though I already suspect the answer. Because I needed to know, she says simply. If you were strong enough, if you could survive what I survived, what I had to become. You destroyed my family to test me? She smiles, and I see that hunger from the wedding photo. Stronger now. I made you stronger, like Charles's family made me stronger. The weak don't survive in this world, Arya. I needed to know if my son's wife could survive. I think of the offshore accounts, the suspicious deaths, the years of manipulation. And if I fail your test, Oh, darling. She reaches out to touch my cheek. I force myself not to flinch. You already have. The question now is, what are you willing to do about it? I step back, clutching the folder. I guess you'll find out at midnight. Her smile widens. So Derek reached out. Good. Remember what I said about survival, Arya. Only one of us can. As she walks away, I look down at the folder in my hands. The evidence I needed, handed over freely. Too freely. That's when I realize this isn't just about survival anymore. It's about who's really being tested and who's really doing the testing. The old Hamilton factory looms against the midnight sky. A steel and concrete tomb holding who knows how many secrets. Ryan's hand finds mine in the darkness. We don't have to do this, but we do. Because somewhere in that building, Derek is waiting with answers about Charles, about Vivian, about all the convenient accidents that paved her way to power. The side door creaks open at our touch. Inside, emergency lights cast sickly green shadows across abandoned machinery. Our footsteps echo on metal catwalks. Derek? Ryan calls out. A figure emerges from the shadows, but it's not Derek. It's Margaret, leaning heavily on her walker. Grandmother, Ryan steps forward. What are you? I'm sorry, she whispers. She made me choose. More shadows move. Security guards materialize from every corner. And there's Vivian. Elegant even here, Derek at her shoulder, like a well-trained dog. Family, Vivian's voice that carries across the factory floor. Such a complicated thing, isn't it? I grip the folder of evidence she gave me earlier. Where's Sophie? Safe, for now. Vivian descends the metal stairs, each click of her heels like a gunshot. Though that depends entirely on you. Ryan moves to shield me, but two guards grab his arms. Mother, stop this. Oh, darling, she sighs. I'm trying to save you from becoming your father, from choosing weakness over strength. She turns to me. Show them the folder, Arya. My hands shake as I open it. But the documents inside aren't what she gave me earlier. These are different. Photographs of my father accepting bribes, falsifying contracts, laundering money through his construction company. No, I shake my head. These are fake. Are they? Derek speaks up. Or did you just never want to see the truth? About your father, about Ryan, about yourself. What's he talking about? Ryan demands. Vivian produces another folder. Your father didn't just bid on Hamilton contracts, Arya. He helped me destroy his competitors, helped me cover up Charles's father's accident, all to protect his own interests. She smiles. Like father, like daughter. You're lying. Am I? Ask him yourself. The factory door opens again. My father walks in, looking older than I've ever seen him. Dad? He won't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I did what I had to do, to protect us, to protect you. And now, Vivian continues, you'll do what you have to do, to protect everyone. She hands me a USB drive, all the evidence of your father's crimes, and Ryan's involvement. Yes, darling, she tells her son. Those contracts you signed last year, not quite as clean as you thought. The pieces fall into place. The arranged marriage, the tests, the manipulation. We were never players in this game. We were pieces being moved across Vivian's board. What do you want? My voice sounds hollow. Sign over your shares in the company. Admit to orchestrating the offshore accounts. Take the fall. She steps closer. Or watch everything you love burn. Don't. Ryan struggles against the guards. Arya, don't. Tick-tock. Derek checks his watch. Sophie's waiting, and those photos of her with the corporate accounts? Very convincing. I look at my father, broken by his own choices. At Margaret, forced to betray her grandson. At Ryan, finally seeing the true cost of his family's legacy. If I do this, I say slowly, everyone else walks away clean? You have my word. Vivian offers a pen and papers. Your word? I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. Like Charles had your word? Like his father had your word? Charles was weak, she snaps. Like you're being weak now. Sometimes survival means sacrifice. I take the pen, feel its weight. Think about Sophie, about Ryan, about all the lives Vivian has destroyed in the name of survival. You're right, I say. Sometimes it does. I sign the papers, watch Vivian's triumphant smile, watch my father's shoulders slump in relief, and then I pull out my phone, press play on the recording of everything that just happened, and watch that smile fade. You're not the only one who knows about sacrifice, I tell her. But before anyone can move, a shot rings out. Pain explodes in my shoulder. Through blurring vision, I see Derek lowering a gun, see Ryan breaking free, see Vivian's face transform from shock to something like respect. As darkness closes in, I hear her whisper, "Now we'll see who really survives." The hospital monitors beep steadily as I open my eyes. Ryan's asleep in the chair beside me, but Sophie stands at the window, phone pressed to her ear. "They're moving the board meeting up," she whispers. "Tomorrow morning, they're going to vote on the merger before anyone can stop them." I try to sit up, wincing at the pain in my shoulder. Where's the recording? Safe, but Vivian's claiming it was taken under duress. And with Dad's involvement, she trails off. The door opens. Vivian walks in, immaculate as ever. Behind her, Margaret wheels herself into the room, her walker replaced by a wheelchair I've never seen before. "Everyone out," Vivian commands, "except Arya." Ryan stirs. "I'm not leaving." "Yes, you are," Margaret cuts in. "Begin. Both of you, this ends now." After they leave, Vivian sits on the edge of my bed, studies me like a specimen under glass. "You know what happened to Charles?" she asked quietly. "You killed him." "No." She pulls out an old photograph. "He killed himself after he discovered what his father had done. The embezzlement, the fraud, the lives destroyed. His precious moral code couldn't handle the truth about his family's legacy. So you covered it up." "I protected what was mine." Her fingers trace the photograph's edge. "Like you tried to protect your recording. But there's something you should know about survival, Arya. It's not about who's strongest." The door opens again. Derek enters, but something's different. He's not carrying himself like Vivian's loyal servant anymore. "Show her," Vivian commands. Derek hands me a file. Inside are documents spanning decades, all bearing Margaret's signature. Property transfers, bank accounts, death certificates. "I don't understand," I start. "My mother," Vivian's voice turns bitter, "taught me everything I know about his survival, about power. She orchestrated Charles's father's accident, arranged my marriage, shaped me into what she needed me to be." She looks at Margaret's wheelchair outside the door. "And now she's doing it again." The truth hits like another bullet. She's been playing us all. For years, Derek confirms. I've been reporting to her, not Vivian. Everything. The toast, the exclusion, the contracts, all designed to test both of you. But why? Because power without purpose is meaningless. Margaret wheels herself back in. And family without strength is doomed to fall. She looks at Vivian. "I had to know if either of you were worthy of the legacy, if you could do what needs to be done. And now," I ask. "Now we know." Margaret produces a gun, the same one Derek used. "One of you walks out of here with everything. The company, the truth, the future." She places it on my bed. "Choose." Vivian doesn't move, doesn't reach for the gun, just watches me with those hungry eyes. And suddenly, I understand. This isn't about survival. It's about breaking the cycle. I pick up the gun, point it at Margaret. "You're right. Family without strength is doomed." I turn it toward Vivian. "But strength without mercy is just another kind of weakness." Then I press play on my phone. Not on the factory recording, but on the conversation we just had. The full confession. "Sophie's not the only one who knows how to hack phones," I say, as Margaret's face darkens. "The board already has this, along with proof of every manipulation, every crime, every test. It's over." "You fool," Margaret snarls. "You've destroyed everything." "No," Vivian stands slowly. "She saved us from becoming you." She takes the gun from my hand, places it out of reach, from destroying ourselves. Security arrives minutes later. As they lead Margaret away, she calls back, "You'll regret this, both of you. Some things are worth any price." "She's right," Vivian says after they're gone. "About the price." She looks at me with something like respect. "Welcome to the family, Arya. The real one." I think of all the pain, All the manipulation, all the lives broken in the name of legacy and power. What happens now? Now, she smiles, but it's different. Tired, real. Now we learn how to survive without destroying each other. As she leaves, I notice she's left the old photograph behind. But now I see what I missed before. It wasn't hunger in her eyes back then. It was fear. The same fear I see in my own reflection now. The Hamilton estate sale draws a smaller crowd than expected. I watch from the second-floor window as strangers pick through generations of carefully curated power, reduced now to price tags and lot numbers. Vivian appears beside me, her reflection ghosting against the glass. Margaret's lawyer called. She's refusing visitors. Good. We stand in silence, watching an elderly couple examine a crystal vase, the one Vivian used for her wedding toast at my reception. The memory feels like it belongs to someone else. I found this in Charles's old study. Vivian hands me a leather-bound journal. You should read it. The pages smell of dust and secrets. Charles's handwriting fills each page with observation about his family's corruption, his growing horror at discovering the truth. The last entry is dated 3 days before his death. He was going to expose everything, I realize. Not just his father's crimes, but the whole system. And now you have. Vivian's voice carries no accusation, just tired acceptance. The board voted this morning. The company's being dissolved. Assets redistributed. Footsteps on the stairs. Ryan and Sophie, carrying boxes. My sister's eyes are red-rimmed, but her voice is steady. Dad's paperwork is all sorted. The DA's office is offering a deal. Take it, I tell her. All of it ends here. Ryan sets down his box, pulls out an old photograph album. Look what I found. The images tell a story I never saw before. Vivian as a young mother, teaching Ryan to walk. Margaret watching from the background, always watching. The slow transformation of a family into a fortress. We're selling the house, Vivian announces suddenly. All of it, starting fresh. Where will you go? I ask. She smiles, and for the first time, it reaches her eyes. There's a small town in Oregon. Charles talked about retiring there before everything. The elderly couple buys the vase. As they carry it out, sunlight catches the crystal, sending rainbow fragments dancing across the walls. I've been thinking about what Margaret said, I say quietly, about survival, about strength. And I think real strength is knowing when to let go. Ryan takes my hand. Outside, the last of the estate sale crowd is dispersing. Soon this house will be empty, its walls no longer echoing with decades of manipulation and fear. There's something else you should know, Vivian says, about your father's company. The contracts weren't all Margaret's doing. Some of them, I chose those targets myself, including your father. The admission should hurt more than it does. But looking at her now, I see something I never expected. Remorse. Why tell me this? Because survival isn't just about living through something, she says. It's about what you become while surviving. Sophie appears with more boxes, but stops short, sensing the moment. The four of us stand there, surrounded by the dismantled pieces of a dynasty built on fear and control. I found this too. Ryan pulls something from his pocket. My pearl necklace from our wedding day. Thought you might want it back. I take it, feel its weight. Then I walk to the window, open it, and let the pearls fall. They scatter across the driveway like drops of rain. Mother would call that wasteful, Vivian observes. No, I correct her. She'd call it weak, but she was wrong about a lot of things. Later, as the sun sets on the empty house, I find Charles's journal again. There's a line underlined near the end. The greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in refusing to become them. I leave the journal on Margaret's old desk. Let the next owners find it, or not. Some stories need to end for others to begin. As we lock up for the last time, Vivian pauses on the porch. You know she'll never stop, even from prison. Margaret will try to rebuild. Let her try, I say. We have something stronger than her kind of power now. What's that? I look at Ryan, at Sophie, at the woman who was my enemy and is now something else. Something complicated and real. The truth, I answer, and each other. We walk away from the Hamilton estate together, leaving behind empty rooms filled with echoes of vengeance. Some of them might follow us. Some might even catch up one day. But that's tomorrow's survival.